Good morning, mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and to all my cousins out there around the world. It's time to plug in, and so let's jump in and get this train to chugging. Alright, it's turned up many times in the past. The toll taken by American police. Now, this headline has not turned up before, but the word toll. To take a toll on something is to do damage. To hurt or to do damage. And so here, as a reduced passive, the toll which is or is being taken by American police on society. American police are taking a toll on society. What kind of toll? Well, people dying in police custody. Once the police have someone and they have control of them, they are in their custody. And technically, custody means protective care. Just like when parents get divorced, they will often battle for custody of the children. But also, interestingly, if you think about it, anybody out there know a fancy word for janitor? I am a practitioner of the custodial arts, or a janitor, if you want to be a dick about it. And so he is a custodian. And a custodian, or janitor, then is the person who takes care of the building, cleaning and mopping and so on. Has that idea of protective custody, of taking care of things. And it seems as though they're not taking care of things or the people very well, or at least the way that they should be doing it, because look at all these people that have died. We don't know how many years this data is from, unless you click the link and read the article. If you do, let me know. Resonated and echoed around the world, borrowing on some vocabulary from last week. Citizens in other countries are protesting as well, because, as you know, every country has minority populations which are unfairly discriminated against. And UK protesters now, why did they tear down this statue? Let's find out more. And the vocabulary is related. The monument of a 17th century slave trader was ripped down by protesters to loud cheers. Hey! Yes, he was a slave trader, and they had a statue memorializing him, and well, that's glorifying slave trade, which was outlawed in the UK well before it was in the US even. Up above, there we had tear down, and here it was rip down. In both cases, yep, piece of paper, ta-da, to tear or to rip, basically synonyms. And in this case, the phrasal verbs are very literal. They're just ripping it down, as you can see, and then they pushed it into the river. We've also had tear into somebody or rip into somebody. In that case, it just means to strongly criticize them. Moving on. Takes a knee with protesters. To take a knee literally just means to get down on one knee. What's the verb for that? To kneel. Aha. All right. To kneel in protest. To take a knee. Literally, down on one knee. However, typically kneeling before power isn't a form of protest. It's a form of acquiescence, if you want to get super vocabulary-y about it. Moving on. We see it again and again and again and again. To rebuke somebody. To reprimand somebody. To strongly verbally criticize them, and especially in a public fashion, letting them know, not just, I don't like your shirt, but it's more about criticizing their actions because they've performed poorly or done the wrong thing, and it's done in hopes of changing the behavior. Even said he's going to vote for Biden, even though he's a lifelong Republican, he's going to vote for a Democrat. Ooh, and that ties into the next one. Pressure is mounting, pressure mounts on Trump to project unity. And we've had to mount before. Think about mountains. You're going upwards. And so if something is mounting, then it's just increasing steadily. Not steeply necessarily. It implies more gradually, but I would say it's going pretty steeply, pretty sharply, if not damn near skyrocketing at the moment. To project unity. Yeah, and when we're projecting, we're beaming forward an image. So he wants it to look like unity, whether or not it actually really is. It's mounting, it's increasing. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's snowballing because we're going uphill and snowballs go downhill, gaining momentum. But the idea of increasing does work there, Zdenek. Yes. To project an image of calm. Leaders during this time of crisis need to project an image of serenity and knowing what they're doing. But more pressure. Pressures are increasing on Indonesia and Malaysia in the South China Sea because things, if you remember, the sea is simmering. It's not actually boiling, literally, but it's getting hot. Woo! It's getting hot down there. Tensions are rising. Pressures are increasing because China says, it's mine. China and India agree to peacefully resolve their border dispute. Yes, they have disputed borders, disagreements about something. To have a dispute about something or to dispute means to verbally disagree, and thankfully, two nuclear powers are going to peacefully resolve their border dispute. Great. That's the last thing we need is some sort of war between India and China. There have been little skirmishes, a couple weeks ago along the border there, but they're trying to counterbalance China's rising weight in the world. India and Australia are strengthening their defense ties. The connections, the thing that holds them together. They want those figurative ropes to be stronger, to strengthen their ties. You hear that very often. And from the adjective strong, the noun strength, add an en, and you've got strengthen, to make something stronger. Yes, I know we have like lighten, darken, weaken. Normally the en goes on an adjective, but occasionally it goes on a nouns too. Strengthen, lengthen. And that's all I've got off the top of my head right now. Here we got a nice feel-good story for once here in the news. Some nice good Samaritan gifted the teen a red Mustang. It's a really heartwarming story and more goes into it. If you're looking for something to boost your spirits, to lift your morale in these dark times, read this story. It's really sweet, it's really nice, and I wish we could see more acts of kindness like this in the world. But, point being, he was gifted a red Mustang. By whom? We don't know. We don't actually really care. The important thing is that he received the Mustang as a thank you for doing that. The person who actually did it is irrelevant. They didn't do it for glory. They did it to reward the teen. So the action is far more important than the actual doer here. Classic passive. All right. Classic reduced passive. TV announcer was fired after responding to an NBA star. Was fired. He was removed from his job and thrown out. I don't know if he responded well or responded poorly. The point being, though, yes, he was thrown out of his job, and now he is he or she is unemployed. Didn't read the story? If you do, let me know. This is just a cool story, and a treasure chest, not like a chest, but a big wooden box like pirates have, full of gold coins and things like that. Yes, it was a real-life treasure chest hidden in the mountains for a decade. It was hidden in the mountains for a decade, and now it has been found. More reduced passives. And really, passive, because do we care who hid it? Not so much. Maybe interested, but not that important. And who found it? Not that important either. The more important thing is it has been found, and by using the passive, we don't know who it is. You can better put yourself into that person's shoes and imagine yourself being the person who found the treasure chest. I've actually been following this story loosely for the last 5 years or so, and it's amazing that it has finally reached its conclusion. It's really fascinating, and I suggest reading it because it's really actually pretty cool, man. But I don't want to give it away. I don't want to spill the beans. I hope you do read the article or any others about this story itself. Doesn't have to be this article in particular. Either way, moving on. Vile and inexcusable. Let's start with inexcusable because it's pretty obvious. And to make an excuse, oh, I'm sorry, my dog ate the homework. Yeah. To make an excuse. And if you do something wrong, If it's not too serious, then it is excusable. And the opposite with the prefix here, inexcusable. Just good word here with the suffix and the prefix, inexcusable. As a teacher, we used to have to deal with students and excusable and inexcusable absences from class. Doctor's office, excusable. I didn't want to go, didn't feel like going, inexcusable. Yeah. All right, vile is just very, very nasty and unpleasant, but often, not always, often in a sort of morally reprehensible fashion. Often used along with evil as well, but something could also smell vile, like vomit smells pretty vile. I actually checked this morning because I thought maybe linguistically, etymologically, it was related to villain, and because the villain is the bad guy in stories. There's the hero and the villain. Yeah, Superman, Lex Luthor, X-Men, and Magneto. Magneto being the villain. However, apparently they aren't actually related linguistically. In my quick 30 seconds before the show that I had time to look it up, it didn't seem like they're related. However, villains are usually vile because they're trying to destroy society and or kill people, damage things, blah blah blah. The downfall. Ooh, nice noun made from a phrasal verb, to fall down. However, we're not talking like in a cartoon, slip and whoop, fall like that. We're talking about then extend that idea figuratively, like to the collapse of an empire or the collapse of the Communist Party. And so the reduction or complete loss of power or prestige, authority. And so yes, the Chinese soccer legend calls for the downfall of the Communist Party. He publicly wants them to collapse. So if you are under fire for something, it means you are being criticized very strongly for doing or having done it. Yeah, you're right. It was true. We messed up. The virus response was to lax. Lax sounds like relaxed. Yes, it is like relaxed. However, it's usually used, it has a negative sort of flavor, a negative nuance to it. And so, especially here, too lax, what they're saying means not strict enough, not strong enough, not aggressive enough. It was a little bit too relaxed. Oh, we'll just see what happens. And then, yes, people die. The discipline of the child was too lax, and as a result, he did whatever he wanted and became a murderer. Germany hands out cash for electric cars. To hand something out, literally, from hand to hand. They're distributing. Now, I don't think it's literal. They're not walking around with piles of money handing it out, but it means that it's distributing money to its citizens if they're buying electric cars. And so it's some sort of government subsidy. Yeah, they are subsidizing the purchase of electric cars, trying to encourage people to move in that direction away from petroleum and fossil fuels. Just a common phrase in English, too little, too late. Yeah, it just means you acted and you didn't take enough action and you took that action too late. And it just sounds really nice to the ear, and it's just kind of common. People not taking the initiative and doing, well, yeah, they did too little, too late. Another one we often will say, like, a day late and $1 short. And it's because white people did not step up. We need people to step up to the challenge, to face the challenge, to confront the challenge, to take action, to take the right action in the right way at the right time, to step up to a challenge, yeah? To take responsibility, to address the issues and problems that need to be solved. And this is like to cry, but in a very specific sort of way, and it's like it's kind of uncontrollable and very loud, making a lot of sound. And so it's not just shedding a tear, it's not just crying. Yeah, all right, enough acting. You don't need to hear me weep. A fitting tribute for Bruce Lee. A tribute is just an act of appreciation, of gratitude, of respect. Some sort of action, or in this case, is going to be some sort of TV special or documentary showing thanks and respect, etc., to Bruce Lee, and it will be a fitting tribute. These words commonly go together, and just like if your clothes fit, that means they are very appropriate, done in a very good way, and yeah, appropriate for this martial arts and Hollywood legend. Thanks for tuning into Breaking Down the News for English Otherwise. If you made it this far, as always, you know that I am here every weekday morning at 8 a.m. And so if I don't see you sooner, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.